Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of July 27th, 2025. The Cosmic Shift OPA retreat will be in Park City, Utah from October 15th through 19th, and I will be teaching a 3-day intensive on predictive astrology. We went there last year and it was phenomenal. It's such a beautiful property and place. And the community, the connection, the networking, and being together with other spiritual seekers is just such a wonderful experience. Rick Levine, Lynn Bell, and Rachel Lang are also teaching tracks, and there'll be peer groups and consulting skills, as well as astronomy for astrologers. So I would love for you to join me if you have any interest. It's going to be a spectacular time. You can use my coupon code FACULTYPROMO55 for a $55 discount. Now let's look at some astrology in action. Mercury stationed retrograde last week at 15 degrees of Leo, which is a world point. So we knew there would be stories that would get wide recognition. Mercury rules communication, transportation, and commerce. When it's retrograde, it's an affliction. And it's a time where secrets are revealed. Problems happen, like tech starts acting strange. There's disagreements and potentially the collapse of something contemplated. The biggest story related to the retrograde, and it happened the day before Mercury went retrograde. You already likely are aware of the story about the Coldplay concert, where Chris Martin was performing and he saw a couple up in the stands, and the man was holding the woman in a way where it was like he was almost grabbing her breast. And Chris Martin said, look at those two. And they broke apart and started twisting and trying to hide. And the word of the day was twister. And it was the CEO of a company called Astronomer and his head of HR, who are married to other people. So they were having a workplace affair so brazen in their behavior that they were at a concert with tens of thousands of people and their coworkers there. And this was the image that I was getting for this retrograde was somebody stuck on a roller coaster at an amusement park and it malfunctions and they're stuck in the sun and they're broiling in the hot sun. The sun rules celebrities, and Chris Martin focused in on these two. So they were broiling in it, everyone at the concert, as well as it became a clip on social media, took on an unbelievable amount of attention. Even a senator, U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar, called them out. This story has spiraled into unbelievable proportions that speaks to the world point at 15 degrees of Leo, being where Mercury stationed retrograde. These two, especially the CEO, Andy Byron, are now famous for 15 minutes. And it's going on and on. There's so many memes about it. I feel sorry for their families. But I feel like this is bigger than just two people having an affair. He's the CEO of the company. She's the head of HR. This is completely unethical, against corporate policy and all that kind of stuff. And Pluto is in Aquarius, here to dim the lights of some of these overly entitled people who see themselves as royalty type figures, where the rules apply to thee, but not to me. There were a lot of other stories related to celebrities and entertainment. Stephen Colbert was canceled by CBS and Paramount. They want to have a merger and they don't want Donald Trump to stop them. It is thought that this was politically motivated. Lots of people are canceling their subscriptions to Paramount Plus. Tragically, Malcolm Jamal Warner, who was Theo Huxtable in The Cosby Show, died by drowning. He was on vacation with his family. Venus was in a sextile with Mercury when it stationed retrograde. So Venus rules vacations. And Mars was approaching the South Node. And the South Node is a drain. There was this image I saw of quicksand, which really related to the Mars conjunct the South Node, like a problem where you can't dig yourself out. And the word of the day was whirlpool. And it's so tragic that he drowned. And the podcast for the week prior to his drowning was called A Raisin in the Sun. And he was in that stage production. It's a famous play by Lorraine Hansberry. And he was in that stage production in 1999. So sad. He was such an important part of my childhood. I would watch The Cosby Show every single week. There were also problems at recreation events, at concerts. Katy Perry has had 2 stage mishaps where she's been in things in the air. One was a butterfly, the other was a ball, and they had malfunctions. So that is really scary. One of them, when she was on the butterfly in San Francisco, she could have fallen into the crowd and gotten seriously hurt and hurt other people. Thank goodness she didn't. After a Beyonce concert, I believe it was in Atlanta, people were going down to take the train home, and a little girl, which Venus and Gemini, sextile Mercury, saw a bug and started screaming hysterically, causing people to think there was some kind of violent thing going on, and a stampede ensued, and some people got hurt. There was a health story where the president of the United States, it was announced that he has venous insufficiency, which means that his veins can't act properly to pump the blood up into his heart. Leo rules the heart. And mercury tubes of all kinds. This was announced the day of or after when Mercury stationed retrograde. And it started, the problem surfaced when there was a picture of his hand with really bad makeup on, and it showed, and people were speculating that he was getting IV treatments, and he has cankles because there's a lot of edema or water around his ankles. And he has a Venus-Saturn conjunction in Cancer in his natal chart. Saturn rules his house of things that go wrong with his health. Saturn rules lack. Venus, literally Venus, the word is spelled differently, but astrology is a language and Cancer is a water sign. So this lack of elasticity in his veins is causing fluid to pool in his lower body and not be pumped all the way up to his heart. Your cosmic advantage begins with the Wise Skies digital calendar, with descriptions for every planetary and lunar event, All levels of astrology enthusiasts can enjoy the calendar on any device and now in many languages. With this superpower in your back pocket, you will be fully equipped to understand the astrological weather any day of the week. My good friend and collaborator, Tiffany Herlick, creates this calendar every year and I use it daily. I highly recommend it. Use my coupon code for $10 off. The code is ABC2025. Let the universe have your back with the Wise Skies digital astrology calendar. The theme of this week is errors and omissions, and there are three big things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Chiron, the wounded healer, will station retrograde at 27 degrees of Aries on July 30th and back it up to January 2nd of 2026, where it will station to go direct at 22 Aries. Retrogrades pull back the tape so that we can see what's underneath. The song Look What You Made Me Do was playing in my head. Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. Aries is the sign of the self. So Chiron and Aries can be self-inflicted wounds. So people can be feeling tender about things they did where they feel like they are the cause of their own problems. It's going to be something. So just especially regarding relationships and with Mercury retrograde, Venus on this day is at 29 degrees of Gemini, a degree of crisis and decay. And Mercury is also retrograde, bringing us to themes of the past. So maybe you're all of a sudden you start thinking about what you said to your high school boyfriend. Gemini rules primary education. And you're like, oh, I can't believe I said that to Derek. He could have been the best thing that ever happened to me. He was the love of my life. And now I'm with Todd and he sucks or whatever. I think veterans affairs could be a topic, or veterans hospitals, because Aries rules war. And veterans are people who may have been wounded in war, but have health insurance issues that are coming up for them about the bills getting paid. Venus also rules money. One thing, you may be healing hyper independence. Old wounds may be surfacing about, how you feel like you've got to do everything on your own, and something may be going on where you need to ask for help and it's making you feel uncomfortable. Health-wise, headaches or sinus problems could be coming up. Aries rules the head, or there could be a scientific advancement about maybe something gets FDA approval that can treat headaches or sinus problems. Now, the sun, the day before Chiron stations retrograde, is on the north node of the United States at 6 Leo, which is a hot degree because that's where Mars stationed to go retrograde on December 6th of 2024. In the 8th house of the Sibley chart, which is the U.S. natal chart that most astrologers use. And the 8th house rules debt, war, taxes. So notice if there's stories about anything about these topics or how they're using them to wound someone. There's something important about the United States because 27 Aquarius is where our moon is, and the moon rules the people. And so Chiron is stationing in a sextile with the moon of the United States. Now, Aries is also a fire sign, so there may be some issues around fire right around this time. But I think there's something financial that's going to be coming up related to, and we're starting to hear about how these tariffs, Venus at 29 degrees of Gemini, a degree of crisis and decay. The U.S. is a Sag rising, so we have Gemini on the descendant. So Venus ruling money there is speaking about the money with our partnerships. The descendant in the seventh house rules our partners and open enemies, and how all these terrorists have wounded the country, how we've wounded ourselves, or I shouldn't say we, the president has wounded the country with these policies and all this craziness with these tariffs. They're on, they're off. Our credit has been downgraded. The dollar's lost 10%. GM has lost $1 billion. Jeep has lost $2.7 billion, which they relate to the tariffs. And the layoffs of people are coming by September in eclipse season, where we're going to be hearing about lots of people being laid off from their jobs because of these financial policies. Now, 29 degrees of Gemini also gives the image of a canary singing, like a bird. Gemini is an air sign and a beautiful singing bird. And I have been thinking that Ghislaine Maxwell is going to get a pardon and that she would be talking around this time. So we'll see if she's talking. Congress went into recess to prevent a vote to have her come to Congress. But maybe there'll be something coming up about her on this day, or Epstein's victims, or your ex may be calling you on the phone or in your DMs, or somebody's telling you their ex is doing that. Or there's news about unpegging the dollar, or something important financial, I think, is going to be announced right around this day, or be a story. But it's really an opportunity to just be aware that you may be feeling tender, related to self-esteem, or just your ego with Leo season, or maybe somebody gives you feedback that makes you feel not good enough inside, and just give yourself like a little bit of a hug. It's the energy, but maybe you will get to healing that wound, or recognize, or have some kind of aha that helps you heal that wound, or just have awareness of it and learn about yourself. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Venus will enter the sign of Cancer from July 30th to August 26th. Venus rules love, relationships, values, self-esteem, jewelry. It's receptive. It draws things to it. Now, people may be feeling a little bit of loneliness because Venus enters Cancer square Saturn and Neptune. And so that can be feelings of isolation, Saturn, or loneliness, and Neptune longing. And if your ex called you when Venus was at 29 degrees of Gemini, or you called them or texted them, then there may be this big rush of emotions. Cancer is emotional. It's a water sign. There can be wistful, romantic feelings. So this also could be a couple has a conversation and they decide they need to get back to being more loving and romantic with each other. Maybe the kids are getting older and don't need as much attention, or the kids are taking up too much attention and you're not taking care of each other. And so you have a conversation, plan a date night, steam up the sheets. All of this kind of stuff could be like a really healing lovemaking session, could be something that you are doing as Venus enters Cancer. There can be a lot of emotional intimacy, or there can be nostalgia and revisiting past relationships. Now, people also may be feeling more frugal and protective of their money. I've read something about revenge saving today. That's a term I'd never heard. But yeah, with Chiron and then Venus moving into Cancer, this may be like there could be a financial story that leads people to pull back their spending even more, or they're spending from certain organizations. That is the news story. Think about how you can make your home a space of comfort, healing, and belonging. But this can be a lovely transit. You may notice yourself desiring like more comfort foods in some ways, even though it's summer. Yeah. Or you may just need a hug and just tell someone, I need a hug. Closed mouths don't get fed. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that we have a first quarter moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio on August 1st. And this is a bit of an intense one. So if you have 9 degrees of any of the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, just be aware there may be a story in your life, or you may be emotionally, something may come up to your conscious attention that needs healing, like some shadow work stuff may be going on. Scorpio is fixed water. It is ruled by Mars, which is now in the sign of Virgo. So there is the potential for people to get very critical of themselves or others. And with Scorpio, it can have a real sting to it. Like fights that happen around this first quarter moon could be really intense. So where people say things that you can't take back. The sun will be in Leo at 9 degrees and the moon in Scorpio at 9 degrees. The first quarter moon is a time of tension. They're in square, and it's a crisis of action where people take action. And with Mercury retrograde, you may not be at your top thinking speed. And there could be problems. And especially Scorpio has associations with debt and big wealth. So just be mindful about making money moves. Leo likes luxury. Yeah, I can afford that Birkin bag. I'm just going to put it on my credit card. Is not a good idea, especially if you've been feeling wounded and you think, I'll just buy myself something to make myself feel better. I would not recommend it if you can't afford it. Yeah. There's going to be secrets revealed, especially about the special ones, power dynamics, and big money. Tulsi Gabbard is a cabinet member responsible for intelligence. And she went on TV talking about how she has a case against President Obama and some people in his administration for what was done around the Russia interference with the 2016 election. It's looking like just an attempt at distraction from the Epstein files. I was wondering if there was going to be something related to this on this day, or they take some action or arrest someone, or if someone related to the Epstein files or some other wide-ranging criminal network or conspiracy is in the news on this day. This lunar phase family began 9 months ago, where there was a new moon at 9 Scorpio, where the sun and the moon were both in Scorpio on November 1st, 2024. I wonder if this was around the time that the HR woman who was having an affair with the CEO was hired, because she'd only been at the company 9 months. These lunar phase families, there's an activation point every 9 months. And now here we are with the sun in Leo squaring the moon in Scorpio on August 1st, 2025, again at 9 degrees of the respective signs. And with these, you can look at 2 weeks on either side for there to be an event. She had a sexual relationship with the Leo sun that is causing her a lot of problems. So that could relate to her, or maybe we hear from her and she's acting like she's aggrieved or was pressured into the sexual relationship or something like that. We'll see if that story keeps coming up. The full moon of this cycle is going to be on May 1st of 2026, where the sun is in Taurus and the moon is in Scorpio, both at 11 degrees. And the last quarter moon of this cycle, where the sun is in Aquarius and the moon is in Scorpio, will be on January 29th, 2027 at 9 degrees. So these cycles are great for planning, big projects, as well as just understanding how things evolve in your life, especially if you have anything around 9, 10, 11 degrees of one of the fixed signs. There may be a story in your life. And you may come to a big understanding psychologically about something about your ego because the day before, Mercury is Cazimi, where Mercury meets the sun, and Mercury's retrograde. So there can be an internal, the sun illuminates things, recognition about, and it's in Leo topics about your ego, about your need for attention, about your need to feel valued, these sort of things. The Sun at 9 Leo is the 5 of Wands tarot card, and that's a card of conflict and competition. The early morning dew salutes the sunlight is the Sabian symbol. And that gives themes of newness, excitement, growth. I feel like a new day is dawning with this energy. The moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio's tarot card is the 5 of Cups, which is a card of grief and despair. A fellowship supper reunites old comrades. This gives themes of calling an old friend, and you find out they're dealing with some kind of loss. So when you bring all these things together, hopefully it's some of these offenders who abused these girls with Jeffrey Epstein. Hopefully someone will be caught in a net. But Ghislaine Maxwell, I was thinking this might be the day that she testified before Congress, but now Congress is out of session because they're trying to stop a vote for the Epstein files being, or her being her testifying. So we'll see what happens. You may have experience where trust issues surface. And with that Mercury Cazimi, you may realize, aha, I'm distrusting of my partner today who hasn't done anything to deserve my distrust because of something that happened in the past. And do you open your heart, Leo, or retreat into control and keeping yourself secret and safe, Scorpio? There may be decisions that you feel a risk of exposure, but for the sake of personal growth or deep connection, you decide it's best to move forward. It's a great time to let go of power struggles or manipulative behavior, avoidance, and just shine your authentic light. Let the people around you see the real you, and they can decide whether they love you or not. Yeah, somebody may be writing a novel where they're using past pain as fuel for their self-expression. Can you take empowered actions despite your fears of betrayal based on past experiences? Yeah, this week can be very tender emotionally, so just be aware. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 60 or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is organization. We start the week with a Virgo moon. Virgo is mutable earth. Its job is to bring order to chaos. It's a great time to get organized, create lists, declutter. Mars is in this sign. So you may have all this energy to do something to tidy up your house or your life. On Monday, the word of the day is accounting. The song Please Mr. Postman by the Marvelettes was playing in my head. This is the day the moon meets the south node in Virgo, and the south node is like a ditch, and there can be digging up things. It can feel like it's like a trench. There's something coming to light about financial malfeasance. It's the waxing crescent moon where we start seeing the light about what the story of the new moon was. And the new moon was in Leo last week, is at 20 degrees of Virgo at 4:40 a.m. Pacific time. And last week's new moon was opposite Pluto. So there definitely are themes of exposure, of secrets, and things that affect a lot of people. And on this day, Venus in Gemini, and Gemini, I get a book or a ledger, is sextile Chiron in Aries, both at 27 degrees. And with Mercury retrograde, you may discover an error in accounting in your checkbook or ledger, but there may be news about something around the world where it's a big financial scandal that leaves people feeling angry. The moon is conjunct Mars. And then the moon moves into Libra at 10:42 p.m. Pacific time. Libra is an air sign. It's cardinal or initiating energy. Someone may be like, I'm filing a lawsuit because of this financial malfeasance from my tax accountant or bookkeeper or whatever. Now, Libra also rules relationships, harmony, culture, and art. So maybe you're just watching a movie about these topics. On Tuesday, the word of the day is demands. You may wake up to too many emails that you need to take action about and just be like, ugh, like the peace and harmony you felt as you awakened from your slumber could get a little jolt. The first thing the moon does as it's in Libra is trine Uranus. That's the alarm clock. And then it's opposite Saturn, which can be pressure, and Neptune can leave you feeling disillusioned. And they're both retrograde. These texts or emails came in hours ago and they wanted an answer now. That's the kind of energy I feel on this day. The moon will square Jupiter in Cancer. So you can feel a little bit emotionally overwhelmed by the demands. So just if you can have a nice little break to just do body scans or breathing exercises to help you stay calm despite the demands on you. On Wednesday, the word is BALM. This is the day Chiron goes retrograde in Aries at 27 degrees. And it's most intense 5 days before and after. On Tuesday, after someone saw all these emails, they just may have burst into tears. Chiron's a wounded healer because they just feel overwhelmed. That's why I'm saying, what can you do as a balm that's soothing, that helps you relax? A hot cup of tea. Venus is at 29 degrees of Gemini. Maybe you need to talk with a partner, a sibling, a friend, just to talk about what you are experiencing. And then Venus will enter Cancer at 8:56 p.m. Pacific time. You may just feel like getting really comfortable and in your pajamas and really snuggled up with Cancer energy. Cancer is like big, fluffy pillows. It's the rules the home. Maybe you just need a hug from a family member, enjoying your food or talking to your family or partner, or just being, enjoying and savoring the meal. On Thursday, the word of the day is tender. The moon opposes Chiron. And there may be some people experiencing something that's got them talking about people who are wounded in some way. The moon enters Scorpio at 10:24 a.m. Pacific time. Scorpio is deep waters. It's a great time to investigate our shadows. There can be themes of conspiracies, power struggles. It rules death and rebirth. And Mercury is going cazimi on this day at 9 degrees of Leo. It's Mercury retrograde, so it's something from the past at 4:41 p.m. Pacific time. Mercury cazimi is when Mercury and the sun are at the same degree, minute, and second in the zodiac. And the sun is the king, and there's themes of being able to ask the king for a favor. I see this as Ghislaine Maxwell wanting a pardon. And will she get it? We'll see. But yeah, there's going to be some big story. With the moon in Scorpio, there could be secrets revealed related to Mercury topics, communication, commerce, transportation. Mercury also rules children, the lungs, hands, wrists up to shoulders. But this is a great time to just get a quiet. You may get divine downloads, great insights if you just take a few minutes to get quiet and not do anything and just connect in with your intuition, your guides, God, whatever your higher power is. On Friday, the word of the day is arrested. The moon will square Mercury retrograde in Leo. And so, what are the people transfixed about? What story is it? And then there's the first quarter moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio at 5:51 a.m. First quarter moons of times of action. I thought someone was getting arrested, but it could also just be a story or talking about an arrest in the past or abuse or something like that. Taxes, debt are big scorpionic themes. There could be news about what the actions of the administration have done to our economy, because Venus in Cancer squares Saturn retrograde in Aries. They're both at 1 degree. And Venus rules the midheaven of the United States, so it's always something about the president or the executive branch that's coming up. And Saturn is pressure, loss, limits, boundary. Or maybe there's more news about visitors to the country. There's some new $250 fee for visas that's coming into effect. And then Venus squares Neptune retrograde in Aries as well, at 1 Aries. And this is themes of deception or gaslighting. So it will be very interesting to see what happens on this day. On Saturday, the word of the day is beloved. Venus in Cancer is quincunx Pluto in Aquarius. Quincunxes are tense and they're in your blind spot aspect. You could get a love letter from a secret admirer. Mars in Virgo is quincunx Chiron, also retrograde at 27 degrees. Or your lover could accuse you of having a secret lover. This could be themes of jealousy and possessiveness could be really strong at this time. And there could be like a relationship fight around that. Like if you're out to dinner, you're looking good, some other person's looking at you and your partner's mad about it. That could be something that goes on. The moon enters Sagittarius at 11 p.m. Pacific time. Now, a Sagittarius moon is feisty and fiery, and there could be some sparks of some words. Look at the bigger picture of, ooh, do I really want to have this tango and conflict, especially with Mercury retrograde? Maybe not. Or maybe think about why they're your beloved. Great time to say yes to spontaneous opportunities with a Sagittarius moon. 11 p.m. You're not going to be getting out probably, but on the next day on Sunday, you can plan to do something active where you're outside and doing something adventurous or doing something philosophical or going to church or doing something related to spirituality. Or maybe you're thinking about taking a trip, even if it's a short one. Yeah, but hopefully you feel optimistic with the Sagittarius moon. If you're awake as the moon moves from Scorpio to Sagittarius, maybe your partner gets jealous and starts to act like they're revving up for conflict. Then the moon goes into Sagittarius and you say something lighthearted and you both realize, or it becomes something funny where you get a belly laugh and you maybe feel good with the sun in Leo about the fact that your partner was a little jealous. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.